Today, let's talk about a case that happened in the 1980s. This was originally an unsolved case. Yet almost 30 years later, a police detective, after studying the case in detail, it was decided to reopen the investigation. This finally made a breakthrough in the case. This case is the Kellingstrom case. The protagonist of today's story is named Kaylyn Strom. He was 25 years old. Kaylyn has an outgoing personality, very popular with friends. He lives in Woods Close, Utah, USA. Woods Cross is the state of Utah, USA. A city under Davis County. Next to it is the Great Salt Lake. The scenery here is beautiful. It is the largest saltwater lake in the Western Hemisphere. Karen grew up with her father. He met Steve when he was in high school. The two fell in love at first sight. Fall in love instantly. They got married right after graduating from high school. Like many newlyweds, when they first got married, their lives were very sweet and happy. However, as time passed, this happy life did not last long. The relationship between the two gradually faded, and cracks appeared. After 3 or 4 years of marriage, Kaylyn couldn't stand this kind of life anymore. She decided to separate and moved to live at her stepmother's house. However, it didn't take long. A bad luck befell Kaylyn. So what exactly happened that day? How did Kaylyn encounter misfortune? Next, let's go back to June 5, 1980. June 5, 1980 was a Thursday. Kaylyn's husband Steve was a few days ago. Call Kaylyn. He expressed his desire to take Kaylyn home, and invited Kaylyn to dinner together. Since this day is Kaylyn's birthday, it's coming up to their wedding anniversary again. Kaylyn agreed to her husband Steve's request. The two had dinner together that night. After the end, they were together. Returned to live at home. Steve worked night shifts at a factory next to Ocean Lake. Working hours are from 12:30 midnight to 7 a.m. Steve rested at home for a while. I went out to work in the factory. His wife, Kaylyn, stayed at home for the night. Time passed quickly. The next day at 7 a.m., Steve is off work. At this time, he made a phone call home. Remind your wife to get up and go to work. However, the phone was not answered. He hit a few more. However, no one answered. Steve was a little worried. Because of this time, Kaylyn should answer the phone. Steve was worried about what would happen to his wife. He immediately clocked out of work and drove home. When I got home, Steve went to the kitchen first. See if Kaylyn left any notes for herself. Tell the whereabouts. However, Steve did not find the note. Steve then went to the bedroom. He pushed open the door. I was stunned by the scene in front of me. I saw Kaylyn lying face up on the ground. There was blood on his neck. Steve was horrified. He quickly picked up the phone and called the police. After the police received a call to the police, I arrived at the scene in a few minutes. However, it was too late. Kaylyn has unfortunately passed away. Investigators quickly entered the scene to investigate and collect evidence. Karen is wearing pajamas. Lie face up on the ground. Feet against the wall. Head near the corner of the bed. There is a noticeable strangulation mark in the throat. Besides, there were also some scratches on her neck, arms, and other places. In the bedroom, the blanket and sheets on the bed fell to the ground. The pillow was also thrown off the bed. The TV fell to the ground from the cabinet next to it. The power supply is still connected to the plug. The screen is still on. The bed in the bedroom is made of copper. 2 copper bars at the head of the bed were knocked off. One has completely fallen to the ground. The police judged. There was a fierce fight at the scene. In addition to the bedroom. Nowhere else has it suffered to any destruction. The back door of Kaylyn's house is a sliding door. There was a stick that stuck the door. You can't get in from the outside. The lock on the front door is intact. The windows were not damaged in any way. The police reasoned. It may be that Kaylyn herself put the murderer into the house. Or the murderer has the key to the house. After entering the house, the murderer had a fierce fight with Kaylyn. The scars on Kaylyn's arm are shown. He had fought hard. Finally, the murderer choked Kaylyn's neck with both hands. As a result, he died. The police preliminarily determined that this was a crime committed by an acquaintance. Investigators began questioning Kaylyn's relatives and friends. Some people said, recently, Kaylyn and her husband Steve. There were some emotional disputes. Steve admitted. There were some problems in my marriage with Kaylyn. They have been separated for some time. During this time, Kaylyn lived at his stepmother's house. But recently the two are trying to get back together. The night of the crime. He also invited Karen to dinner. The relationship between the two has eased a lot. Steve's statement. It was partially confirmed by Kaylyn's stepmother. The stepmother said that Kaylyn was the same day. Did agree to Steve's request for dinner. But the two did not try to get back together. Zimmer said. Kaylyn told herself. Recently planning to file for divorce from Steve. Jim had long seen that their marriage was irreparable. So he tried to get Karen not to go to the appointment. But Kaylyn said that the two were just having a meal. This does not affect his decision to divorce. It's a perfect opportunity to eat. File for divorce from Steve. After the investigators listened to the testimony of the stepmother. I feel that Steve's motive for committing the crime has increased infinitely. So they called Steve to ask again. This questioning was greatly unexpected by the police. Steve said. He knew who the murderer was. That person is Kaylyn's recent new boyfriend Buff. Steve knew that Kaylyn was separated. Just dating Buff. He was in a bad mood. He would go to Buff to talk to him. The two have a good relationship. Steve said. This Buff. Maybe they are jealous of their relationship getting back together. So he killed Kaylyn in a fit of anger. The police immediately found Kaylyn's boyfriend Buff. Buff cooperated very well with the police investigation. He also said that he had nothing to do with this case at all. I do love Kaylyn very much. Kaylyn loves him too. The two of them had a lot of fun together. He wants Kaylyn to do what he loves. Therefore, he once said to Kaylyn, let her give Steve another chance. Kaylyn's relatives and friends said. They both felt that Kaylyn had a bad relationship with Steve. And when Kaylyn and Buff are together, he always had a smile on his face. Relatives said. Buff couldn't hurt Kaylyn. The jealous person should be her husband Steve. Instead of Buff. Buff had an alibi on the night of the crime. Therefore, the police ruled out Buff's suspicion. The investigation has reached this point. The forensic autopsy report has also come out. Limited by the technology of the time. The forensic doctor could not come to a conclusion. A very specific time of death. They can only pass. The degree of digestion of food in the victim's stomach. And the time of eating. Forensic speculation. Kaylyn's death occurred at 10 p.m. Until 2 a.m. the next day. Steve's work hours that night were 12:30 midnight. But he seemed to be a little late that day. He clocked in at 12:45 that day. It takes 25 to 30 minutes to get from home to the factory. It's not too far away. Refer to the time period when Kaylyn was killed by the police. Steve may have completed the crime before going to work. Then go to work in the factory. Steve's colleague said. Steve was very flat at work that night. Often does not seem panicked or nervous. There was no abnormal behavior either. At this time, Steve told the police about another person. That person was his co-worker Owens. Steve and Owens often drink together, hunting and fishing. The two are very good friends. Steve told police. He felt that his friend Owens was suspicious. Owens and Steve work in the same place. Steve works the night shift. Owens is in middle school. So Owens has time to commit crimes. So the police found this Owens. They really made a discovery. I saw Owens' arm. There are many small scars on the face. It looks like it was scratched. This greatly increased the police's suspicion of him. Orves explained. These scars were when I was at work. Accidentally scratched by metal chips. The person in charge of the factory said. When working on machine tools, metal debris often flies out. It is normal to be scratched on the body. As for the scars on the face. That day, he bent down to get something while working. Accidentally hit the device with his head. So it hurts. The night of the crime. He was after work. Go to a bar for drinks with some workers. During this period, we also played billiards for a while. They start at 8 p.m. I drank it until 4 a.m. the next day. The bar is closed. Voss said. I returned to the factory around 4:30 in the morning. He has an alibi. The workers who Owens went to the bar with him that day confirmed this statement. According to the investigation, this Owens has nothing to do with Kaylyn. The two have very little intersection in life. The police really couldn't find it. What is Owens' motive for committing the crime? So his suspicion was also ruled out by the police. According to the police's investigation procedures, Owens' DNA, hair samples were retained. The wounds on Owens' body were also photographed for evidence. The investigation has reached this point. Steve mentioned it to the police. Both suspects who confessed were ruled out. Therefore, the police have reason to believe that Steve is lying. He not only has inconsistent rhetoric. There is also a sufficient motive for committing the crime. Also, Steve did not have an alibi. During the time period of Kaylyn's death, Steve may not have been at work yet. Theoretically, he has time to commit crimes. The county attorney then issued an arrest warrant. Steve has been charged with first-degree murder. The police are more than half sure of winning the case. In court, all evidence related to this case is presented one by one. However, all of this evidence is circumstantial evidence. There is no strong ironclad evidence. December 1980. The verdict was pronounced in this case. The court ruled. Defendant Steve was not convicted of first-degree murder. Released in court. Kaylyn's relatives were disappointed with this result. With the court's verdict, the case suddenly sank into the sea. It became an unsolved case. However, Kaylyn's sister Coco did not give up. She has been looking for evidence. She will find the killer. It is my primary goal in life. I look forward to the day when it will come to light. The year came to 2006. This is 26 years after the case. Kaylyn's sister Keej came to the police station. Ask her sister about the progress of Kaylyn's case. The last 26 years. She comes from the police station like this every once in a while. The police will say there are no new clues. Truly. The police have almost given up on this old case. There was a detective named Benson. He was moved by the persistence of Kaylyn's sister Keej. He started trying. Learn about this cold case that happened 26 years ago. After a period of research, Benson made a request to his superiors. "I hope he can reinvestigate the case." Kugu found Detective Benson. Together, the two worked to find new evidence. Subsequently, the superiors approved the request. The case was officially reopened in January 2007. Examine. Detective Benson re-examined all physical evidence from that year. He saw Kaylyn's nails back then. It is believed that there may be DNA of the murderer inside. The year of the crime occurred in 1980. DNA technology has not yet been used to solve cases. Therefore, there was no nails on Kaylyn at that time. Get a DNA test. So, Detective Benson sent the nails to the lab. Get a DNA test. While waiting for the inspection report, Benson called one of the suspects. After Owen's phone was connected, Detective Benson said, "I'm Detective Benson. I am reinvestigating the Kaylyn case. I hope you can answer some of my questions." Owens on the other side of the phone heard it. "I fell into extreme uneasiness." His tone trembled slightly. He dodged many of the questions Benson asked. This made Benson vaguely feel Owens may know the inside story of the case. The DNA report results confirmed Benson's guess. On Kaylyn's nails, there is the DNA of Owens and Steve. Benson then requested a forensic doctor reevaluate the timing of Kaylyn's death. Forensic medicine through more advanced technology. Through the changes in body temperature and temperature recorded that year. Result: Kaylyn's death occurred at around 12:30 p.m. We know Steve clocked into work at 12:45 p.m. that night. Travel time from home to factory. It should take at least 25 minutes. It's definitely too late. So Steve's suspicion can be ruled out. And Owens had an alibi at the time. He was drinking at the bar from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. In that case. So why on Kaylyn's nails? There will be Owens' DNA. The half-body detective went to look for it again that night. A worker who was drinking with Owens. According to their recollections. That night, Owens was indeed drinking with them at the bar. During this period, they also played billiards together. But they weren't sure Owens was there all night. If Owens leaves midway, and then coming back is also possible. No one saw Owens at the bar the whole time. Detective Bath looked at photos of scars taken by Owens in 1980. These wounds do not look like they are mechanically caused. It was more like someone scratched it. So far, the police believe that Owens' crime is a serious suspicion. I want to call him to the police station again for questioning. However, they were one step late. He left a farewell letter to his wife. Said that he would never come back. Owens has absconded in fear of crime. From his credit card spending records, Owens fled to St. Anthony, Texas. From there he fled to Mexico. This has once again bogged the case. March 2007. The case has once again ushered in a turning point. The police received a message. Owens spent all the money on him. I can't continue to live in Mexico. He can only return to the United States. Detective Benson learned the news. Call Owens immediately. Said I had enough evidence to apply for an arrest warrant. I advise you to turn yourself in quickly. Owens had no escape. He came to the police station to surrender. He will face first-degree murder charges. During the arrest, another case of Owens also came to the door. 1972 on Hermo Beach in California. A woman named Kimberly is walking on the beach. Owens rushed over, beating Kimberly. He also tightened Kimberly's neck with his hand. Tried to strangle him. Kimberly fought back. Finally escaped. Kimberly called the police afterwards. The police caught Owens. He was tried in California. Kimberly was confirmed in court. The person who beat him that day was Owens. But Owens' family. He was provided with an alibi. In the end, Owens was acquitted. This matter is over. Owens' family did not give up on this case. They hired a well-known lawyer from California. Defending Owens. The lawyer asked a fatal question as soon as he arrived. The DNA on Kaylyn's nails doesn't come from dandruff. It's semen. So this is not a murder case. It was an attempted sexual assault case. As for why Owens fled to Mexico, Owens' lawyer said, Owens was just going to Texas to meet a friend. Then went to a town on the Mexican border. Played for a while. Only then did he get the news. No, you're in Utah. Could face a murder charge. That's why he returned to China. It wasn't that he spent all his money to come back. Due to insufficient evidence, the police dropped the case against Owens. Owens was released. Detective Benson collected all the physical evidence from 1980. I read it over and over again. He hoped to learn from these evidences. Find even the slightest strong evidence. The police took pictures of these evidences. Then go through the computer. Digitize these photos. In this way, you cannot miss any detail. Thanks to the tireless efforts of Detective Benson, he was finally on one of Kaylyn's clothes. I found a small red dot that was almost invisible. After careful observation, it's a lot like a drop of blood. So can this drop of blood convict Owens? Detective Barnes immediately contacted the lab. Let them examine it. Is there DNA evidence on it? This drop of blood has been around for decades. The sample is very, very small. It is very difficult to detect. However, the Emperor lived up to his intentions. A few days later, the report showed that this blood belonged to Owens. With such strong evidence, police in March 2009. A lawsuit was reopened against Owens. In front of ironclad evidence, Owens finally admitted to his crimes. May 21, 2009. This day was Owens' sentencing hearing. On this day, events have reversed again. Owens made a confession that everyone couldn't believe in their guilt. He said that although he killed Kaylyn, however, the mastermind behind the whole thing is Kaylyn's husband, Steve. A few months ago, Steve did just that. He didn't agree at the time. Later, Steve bought his wife Kaylyn a life insurance policy. If something happens to Kaylyn, Steve will receive a large sum of compensation. Steve agreed to Owens. If it works, he will give half of the claim to Owens. Steve gave Owens a room key. Owens in the early morning of June 6, 1980. Used this key to open the door. After entering the house, he did not do it immediately. Instead, he advised Kaylyn to leave quickly, and said that Steve wanted to kill him. Let him run away quickly. Don't come back. Karen didn't believe what he said. Scolded him and told him to go out. Then the two got into an argument. Owens ended up strangling him with his hands. At the hearing, Steve naturally did not admit everything Owens said. After a police investigation, Steve did buy an insurance policy for his wife. This insurance is a factory benefit. The sum insured is $5 million. There is no evidence to show this policy is related to Kaylyn's case. Therefore, there was no appeal against Steve. If someone proposes Steve's evidence related to this case, still suing Steve. In the end, the jury deliberated for 2 days. Unanimously, the defendant, Owens' son, was convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. The case has been around since it happened and ended. It has been a total of 29 years. Without Detective Benson's reopening of the investigation, then he will always be one. There are some regrets about the unsolved case. Although the case has been solved, and yet we don't know. Is what Owen Son said true? Is Steve the mastermind of the case? After the case is over, media reporters are very interested in Colorado residents. Kaylyn's sister Keej conducted an interview. Keej told reporters on the phone that I know. The person who physically killed my sister is in prison. He did it. As for whether Steve is the mastermind, Kaylyn's tombstone reads the words, "Only God knows." Summon the ghost of that New Year's Eve. If this deep dive kept you on the edge of your seat, hit that like button, it really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next mystery we uncover. There are more untold stories waiting, and you don't want to miss them. Stay safe out there. And until next time, keep your doors locked.